Okay, the two P's. Human threats to biodiversity. We have the two P's, and the first one of these is pollution. The first P is pollution, and again, some of these are more obvious than others. Obviously, pollution is poison, and obviously it's bad for biodiversity. Some classic examples, one you may have heard of and one that you probably haven't heard, involves the first one involves the pesticide, the insecticide DDT. DDT was there to control mosquitoes. And we've seen Rachel Carson's video where they were driving around blasting this fog everywhere. And over time, what happened is not only did it kill the mosquitoes, we started to lose our national symbol, the bald eagle. And what they found was that the DDT, it didn't kill the bald eagles, but it had an effect on their eggs. And it made the eggshells very fragile. And so whenever the mama would sit on her eggs, she'd crush them. And so if you crush the egg, you get no baby eagles. And we nearly lost the bald eagles. They're making a real comeback. Whenever I drive back and forth from Pittsburgh to school, I go through Harmer, and there is a large nest on the hill above the Holton Bridge. It used to be slightly down the ridge. It got knocked down. They've moved to where when I'm stopped at the red light waiting on the Holton Bridge, I can look up and see the eagles up there and their nest. So they are making a recovery. The second example of pollution that I want to talk about is lead from shotguns. And so lead is a heavy metal and it's poisonous. It gets concentrated in waterfowl because ducks, you may have seen them out on a pond. They often have their butt sticking up in the air. Well, what are they doing? Their head is down at the bottom, and they're looking for little clams and things in the bottom, in the mud. And so they're kind of like doing this, they don't make that sound, but their mouth is going like that. And they find what they think is a little clam, but it's actually a lead shot. And they eat it, and it's has a major effect on waterfowl. And of course, I know over the last 20 or so years at least, they've said for duck hunting you can't use lead shot, but in the fields it's still allowed, and those little tiny pellets of lead do eventually make their way into the waterways. And so lead is still a problem as a toxin, as a poison, as a threat to biodiversity. The next P, human population growth. And we've mentioned it a few times today. The most recent figures I've seen, 7.8 billion people. That's a lot. And the predictions that we've talked about at various times throughout the semester is that the carrying capacity of the Earth would be about 15 billion people. And so we're approaching that, and we're very rapidly approaching that. As a matter of fact, now I've written it out here. Population has doubled in the last 40 years. That means it went from just under 4 billion to just under 8 billion in 40 years. So population is growing very rapidly. And obviously, the Earth has limited resources. So there are limited resources available to humans and all of this life that is important to us as humans.